think more than the industry itself, it was the company that I fell in with. Honestly, like if these guys did steel erection, I'd be up here, 1,000 foot in the air, whatever, uh, building high rise buildings. It's just the team that we have over here. It just makes it easy to come to work every day, right? Like solar's great. Like it's been awesome to me. I mean, this is definitely like more money than I ever thought I would make when I was 18 years old. So like the the funds are there. Like you can grow and you can make money quick. If I were still in commercial electrical, I'd be getting a foreman wage. It'd be nowhere near where I am now.
It's not a problem, it's an opportunity. Welcome to Suns Out, where we have a serious drinking opportunity. Welcome to Suns Out, where we believe that the solar industry can provide a brighter future for everyone. I'm Zach Simino. Here in a minute, we'll be sitting down with Sean Chastain and our special guest for today, Troy Tustin. This was a fun episode. I think I say that pretty much every time, but we did something different on this one, right? This was a Friday night that we recorded this, and we may have had a beverage or two prior to, recording. And unfortunately for Troy, he may have ran out. We didn't. We kept having a couple of drinks during this episode, and it was a lot of fun. I think it would have been fun with or without the drinks, but it made me realize, all right, well, there's the purpose of Why Solar is there's two main purposes of the Why Solar series, which is number one, to introduce you to the people that we have the privilege to work with, and number two, to introduce you to the various careers that you can find within the solar industry. And there's just some people that we work with that are really fun to have a drink with, and for better or for worse, Troy is one of those people. So we decided to do things a little bit different on this episode, and it was a lot of fun. And I think periodically we are going to do something similar moving forward. Not every time, but if we record an episode on a Friday night, it might be a Friday beers with the boys or whatever type series. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The point is, we don't take ourselves so seriously here that we can't have a little bit of fun and be ourselves. We're doing this to have fun. And while we're talking about not taking us seriously, I've taken a while to release this episode, and it's because we shouldn't be taken so seriously. In this episode, we talk about some vendors that we have that we feel very, very opinionated about, to say the least. And the reason why I've hesitated to release this episode up to this point is because I say some things that I don't have 100% laboratory tested factual proof. I make some claims, some suggestions that I'm taking a little bit of a leap on, and so like with any review on a product that you would read online, you've got to take what I say as subjective, and yeah, just don't. I don't want to get in the habit of trashing companies, vendors, their products. I think everybody in this industry are trying to do their best. Everybody in this industry is trying to do their best, and there's just some unfortunate situations that happen along the way, but it doesn't mean it is what it is, man. I won't always be trashing companies on this channel, this podcast, and I think anything that I say in this episode, you should do your own research on, and don't take everything I say in this episode as just factual evidence, okay? With that said, this was a lot of fun. We go all the way through from high school to where Troy is today. We talk about Pure Power a lot. Troy being the director of technical services at Pure Power, he's got a lot of responsibility there, and he's one thing that I found really interesting is he's been at Pure Power pretty much his entire career in the solar industry, which speaks volumes about who Pure Power really is. It's a different company. I think I say in this episode, there's been a few companies across the history of solar that have been able to bottle lightning, if you will. And yeah, Pure Power is definitely one of them. So listen, there's no sponsor for this episode. I've rambled on long enough as it is, so I'll keep it short. But I just want to remind you, like, we're doing this, number one, with the Why Solar series, to introduce you to the people we get to work with and to the various careers that you can find within the solar industry. We're wanting to go in different directions pretty soon, and we could use your help. One thing that I do want to do in the near term is get a group of people together to discuss some of the more complex technical issues that we've had to work through in recent history. And and another thing that I'm really interested in is like the success that people have been able to find running their own business. So if you have any suggestions on the technical subjects that we could be covering and the people that could be involved in unpacking those subjects, or if you have suggestions of people that would be really interesting to sit down with and unpack how they were able to start and build their successful solar businesses, we would certainly appreciate those suggestions. So feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Anyways, that's enough of me talking. Let's get into this episode.
I do have an energy drink, so we're just gonna get jacked.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Yeah, good time. Yeah. So I get the pleasure of working with you every day, but for those of you who may not have the pleasure of doing that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, guys. So my name is Troy Tustin. I'm the director of technical services over at Pure Power Contractors, and I've been with this company for probably 8 years. What else? Like, do you want me to start from the beginning, like we do in the other podcasts, or how do you want to go about this?
Yeah, tell us what was your weight at birth, and tell us.
I was like 9 pounds 15 ounces. It's crazy.
Whoa,
I was a fat baby. Dude.
Damn, dude. Yeah,
fat baby.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So I just need to know where you were born, your mother's maiden name, what was your first vehicle, and there's a couple others, but as long as we get through those,
social security number and last the CSV on your credit card. Yeah,
those are like all my forgot my password questions. I can't give out all of that.
Yeah, man. So I do want to go all the way back, just so people can kind of get an idea of who Troy is, because like Sean was just saying, it's been a pleasure to work with you, man. And like, it's you are the type of people I would love to see join us in this industry. Right. So I do want to go over that, but I did not realize you were the director of technical services. I thought you were the director of commissioning, which I think is a part of technical services. But what is that? What all are you having to direct these days?
So this title was kind of a brainstorm between myself and Kirk Kiefer. Kirk actually came up with the idea because recently I took over our INC O&M and quality departments as well.
Wow.
So rather than have like director of INC, QA, QC, commissioning, and O&M as my title, as my signature in my email, Kirk was like, "That's just too much. That's a mouthful." So
yeah.
Damn it. We settled on that. One thing I do not do though is IT, and ever since I changed my name, I've been getting a lot of LinkedIn, like, I heard you're the director of technical services. We got some cool security cameras. So for those of you guys listening, I do not do IT.
Yeah, we have about 2 million subscribers. So yeah, you're a large crowd.
Yeah, just prepare your inbox, man. Just get everything cleared out of there. Jesus. All right, yeah, man. That's a lot, bro. That's a lot of responsibility. Like, it speaks volumes as to like how much trust they have in you and how much you're actually able to handle. And so like to get to know the type of person that can handle that much and is that well respected in the industry. I do want to go back. Like who was, like I was this nerdy like kid that would just sit on the corner of my bed and play guitar all the freaking time. Who was Troy growing up? Like who was Troy in high school?
Yeah, so Troy was kind of the class clown, always messing with somebody or the teacher, whoever. So Troy spent a lot of time in high school in an alternative ed program.
Yeah.
And he, the program I was in was not one that you could, I guess, go to the next grade on. You were kind of, once you were put there, you were stuck there until they allowed you to go back into like regular school, right?
Gotcha.
So around that same time, Troy also had a baby. He was 16 years old. I don't know why I'm speaking to myself in third person, but I like it.
You can do it as
No,
long as you
I like
want
it too.
to, man.
Yes,
It's fun.
It separates me from him. That guy was a piece of shit.
Oh, please.
So I was 16 years old. Had a baby. Wasn't working. Didn't have any kind of income, so decided to get my GED.
Yeah.
Grabbed my GED. Went to work as a construction helper for like residential construction work. Did a lot of like masonry work.
Oh shit.
Yeah, roofing, any kind of, just odd job for like, a random, class C contractor who, basically paid you when he got paid kind of deal.
Right.
Did that till I was probably 19, 20. And then around the time I hit 20, the woman I'm with now, her father was a electrical superintendent for like a commercial outfit. And he was like, hey, come on as a temp, get in the electrical trade. So I did. I went through hard hat and started as a helper, electrical helper. Did a couple jobs with him and then, got laid off from that because they, we were just finishing up a building and they didn't have anything else. So I think it was maybe 2013 or 2014. I was picked up as a temp for Pure Power to wire some apartments. So wired. This was probably a 6 to 8 month job. Wired these apartments for these guys, and it's one of those situations where towards the end of the project, people start to get laid off on the temp agency side, and I was like the last temp standing there. So was able to punch out the building. Got to know Justin Taylor, our owner, and Scott Wenning, who was the superintendent there at the time. Finished that job out for those guys. They didn't really have a whole lot of work after that. They were just Justin was just kind of dipping his toes in the contracting field. So went back to, the temp pool, picked up another job doing a Honda dealership or something like that, wiring that up. And then called Scott when he, a couple months down the road, called Scott Wenning back up. And those guys started me that Monday in April 2015, I think it was. And just been with those guys ever since. So they, when they picked me up then, they were doing residential solar. Did a little bit of that, a little bit of residential roof work and stuff like that. And then, maybe 2-3 months into that, started our first big solar farm, Apple One. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one.
Was that in Lincolnton? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
I guess it's considered. Yeah, I guess it is kind of Lincolnton area. Yeah.
Yeah, 321 up towards Hickory.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
It's like a 5 megawatt farm. SMAs,
Nice.
old SMACPs.
So who was that for?
That was for Entropy, but Entropy was working for, I think, Cypress for that. Maybe.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Wow.
So Entropy, we got several jobs from Entropy that year to kind of get us into the industry, and I think the year after that, Entropy kind of, I don't know, dissolved. I don't know what happened with those guys, but we started working directly for Cypress as an electrical contractor at that point.
Yeah, I
So I
think
came in as like an underground foreman there.
Yeah, I think we need to have a moment of silence for Entropy.
For Entropy. So before we do though, what is the name? What's the definition of entropy?
It's not good, bro.
Right.
I've always
so why
wondered.
would we lead into that?
Yeah, it's not good. No.
It's almost like a design fail. What were they thinking?
It's definitely asking for it. Yeah.
Well, with the exception of companies like Pure Power, it's kind of appropriate though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
maybe they were onto something.
Maybe. I sometimes wonder if it wasn't intentional. Like maybe there's some type of a tax thing that I don't know, some reason for that. But
yeah, at least with Pure Power, you're like, oh, this is what you're gonna get. But Entropy, you're
Pure
like,
Power.
I don't know.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's a good group of guys over there too, like that were at Entropy that are now BRP guys, I think, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so you were there from the start with Pure Power. So how have you seen that build up? And I'm also interested for myself. So
yeah. So when I started with them, actually doing these utility scale farms, we were doing there was 4 of us maybe. It was myself, Justin Taylor, Jeannie, our accounting lady, and I think Ryan Shaw, who's no longer with us. But it was basically divvying up the projects. Oh, wait, John Budway was there too. John Budway joined a little after. And Dylan.
Whoa. I didn't realize he was one of the originals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He got hired on probably a month or 2 after I did.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I think he's good buddies with Justin from like SEM days or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we got our first project. I knew nothing really of utility scale solar. Honestly, I had a very limited knowledge of like just underground electrical in general. I spent a lot of time doing, commercial buildings where it's all EMT or MC cable, things like that. So I hadn't really dealt with PVC much, and they put me in a position, the underground foreman position. So I was like, yeah, which is like something I'd never done before. But, we were very limited on personnel at the time. I came to figure it out, but it was a rough ride. It was a rough ride. Like there was equipment not hitting the windows, or conduit not hitting the windows after pad roughs. I'd miss a jumper on occasion. I'd have to go back and dig it back out. Things like that were happening. And, for the first, I think I did that underground position for 3 or 4 months before, right before the 2015 craziness went down towards the end of the year, the safe harbor crazy.
Yep.
I called up the office. We were out there, mountain jumpers. We're having to carry like a compressor, a big, pull behind compressor to pound posts in. And, I just kind of had it that day, and we were having to cut strut with a Sawzall to mount it, and just cutting strut with a Sawzall is never fun. So I called the office and I'm like, look guys, we're cutting strut with a Sawzall here. Can I go purchase a bandsaw, on the card? And my manager at the time was like, no, you can't. So I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm out. So I just drove home, I was going to quit that day. I was quitting already. I was on the way, and Taylor called me up on the way back, and he was like, look, man, if this isn't what you want to do on the underground side, there's other places we can put you, right? Like, you don't have to just quit. We can have this conversation, and, we can move you to something that you're more comfortable with, or something that you feel like actually applies, your strengths. So, and that was good. Like, to hear that from the owner was like huge for me, So, from that point on, I was sold. I was sold on Pure Power. Anything, those guys couldn't do anything wrong. Whatever direction they want to go, I'm behind them, right? So that was kind of, from that point, I got paired up with Blair Udi, who's now our director of pre-construction.
Yep.
No kidding.
But at that time was like just kind of your Mr. Do It All, whatever needs to be done. So got paired up with him, and we pretty much just roamed around sites and just did whatever was needed to be done, kind of like a punch crew. But sometimes it was mid construction. It didn't really matter. So I enjoyed that because I was getting to see more aspects of the solar farms, more parts of the build than just, underground, put the conduit in and leave, move to the next one. So, that was good. And then, eventually after seeing what you guys have put together over there at Cypress Creek on the quality control side, we decided, hey, we don't want the embarrassment of having someone come to our site and tell us that this is wrong, right?
Yeah.
So then we started putting together our own kind of internal quality control department that almost mirrored what you guys had, so that, because at that time, probably 90% of our work was with Cypress Creek.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make an impression, we wanted to not have issues when you guys came to the site. So we decided to start our own kind of little internal QA/QC on the electrical contractor side, and try to knock out issues that you guys might find.
Oh yeah.
And from that kind of stemmed into, okay, now we've kind of got a hang of the quality side. We're hanging out at the end of the projects. We're seeing how these things are energized. Let's try and start energizing these sites. So then we kind of picked up on the commissioning side of it. And all the while, in the times when we didn't have projects going on, we were getting calls from Cypress Creek O&M, asking us to provide, service calls. So we would go and pull feeders and things like that. So a lot of my, my main line of work came from Cypress Creek,
Right.
I built relationships with a lot of guys over there, and they kind of trusted me to be able to handle, service calls or whatever was needed at that time. So we established that relationship on the O&M side, and those three things kind of grew in parallel until eventually now it's time to hire managers because they're getting so big that we can't, I just can't do it on my own anymore. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
It was an interesting thing to watch because like you and I crossed paths in 2017, 2018, just early enough for me to really not know what the hell I was doing.
I think the first time I saw you on was Bladen, maybe.
Oh my God. Did we really run across each other?
I saw you Bladen, yeah.
Oh my God. What a freaking interesting project that one was, just all around. That I will never forget that project. That's if you want to talk about Bladen, because I don't, because I'll never forget some of the things I saw out there. But if you want to talk about like the difference from Bladen to Crooked Run, or Bladen to anything after 2018, like the amount of improvement and just consolidation, and just like Pure Power went to the best of the best as far as contractors were concerned, and in my opinion,
I know
in such a quick time.
Yeah, I saw a difference. Like you're speaking about, like creating a quality program. Like there was a very distinct change in Pure Power, where it was like, I don't know what they're doing, to like, oh, I know exactly what they're doing. So
Yep. It was an interesting thing to watch because it seems like you guys grew so fast.
Yeah, it seems that way probably from an outside perspective, but internally it seems like, I think we've been trying to grow at like a slow rate, not so much that we can't handle from a megawatts per year perspective.
Yeah. Well, right? All right. Well, let me qualify that. Yes, absolutely. And that's one thing that's impressed me about Pure Power is like you guys didn't do what so many other companies, what I think is ultimately a mistake, and that's just like how fast they grow. Like if you aren't growing, you're dying in business. That mantra, I get that. That is true. But there's a reasonable pace that you can maintain, and you guys have figured that out. But what I was talking about is like the years like 2016, 2017 to 2018, that period of time, that was an explosion. And that was also like
That was around the time we started those departments. Yeah.
Yep. And that was like watching you grow so fast and learn so quickly. And I think the pumping of the brakes was probably you guys learning, going, all right, this is a good spot. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's keep honing this thing in here. And that, I think, has, paid off tremendously. I really can't think of many other companies that are have such a high level of respect and such a good reputation like Pure Power does. So you should be proud of like your part in that, man.
Yeah, that's awesome,
really,
man.
It's been impressive to watch from the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. We definitely pride ourselves on trying to be quality, provide a quality.
It's the
build,
best of the
right?
best, without a doubt. I'm interested to like try to dig into like what were some of the, this can be anything, man. What were some of the biggest lessons you've learned across this period of exponential growth, and then you know what I'm trying to get at, like what's the first thing that comes to mind? Like what was a big learning event for you in this industry?
Man, I think for everyone, at least in the North Carolina industry, was obviously the audits, right? I mean, that was the biggest hurdle to get. I still don't know all the ins and outs. That's why I'm glad we have Sean, because he does know all the ins and outs. He's forgot more about audits than I'll ever know.
I'm glad you think that, yeah.
But yeah, I remember our very first audit was at Dixon Farm. And we were using a company called, I think, Power Masters at the time. And it wasn't like it wasn't like C-Phase. It wasn't like any of these companies that we use now. This was kind of like a mom and pop shop. It was like a guy and his son. And these guys were, they just they weren't familiar with the Duke spec. Just like, none of us were really familiar with the Duke spec at the time.
Right.
And I mean, AE just came and just ate us up. Right. And it wasn't something we were prepared for. We didn't have the material on hand to just fix it. And it was like, it hurt. Right. So we, after spending a couple days with Blair, afterwards, just trying to clean up the mess that was that punch list, we decided that we were just going to stock our trucks. We might not know everything that they're going to call us on, but we're going to stock our trucks to make sure that they leave with a much smaller list than they create. Right?
Yeah,
and while doing that, we're going to try and make sense of it.
Yeah, a lot of those guys back then, they're like, I've been doing this for 35 years, and it's like, but these guys are holding you accountable, so like you have to do it right. So I totally get it.
There was a period, that whole first year, dude, when that was the argument, right? It was, we've been doing it this way for 30 years, and it's like, yeah, you can argue that, dude, but I mean, we still got to turn the site on next month. So what are we doing here?
It's still wrong. I don't know.
Right. Right. So
I won't say his name, but there was like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There was this one guy. You already know. Just constantly leaving Easter eggs, and it just drove me crazy because it was like, bro, that's funny and awesome, and I totally get where you're coming from. But if we don't get this turned on in time, that's going to be a major hit to my company.
Yeah,
which
and
at some point will be a major hit to your company.
Right. And are they really Easter eggs, dude, or did you guys just something up?
Sure.
They just realized it later. They're like,
there's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
My boy's got me.
Did it on purpose.
He would be a fun one to have on here, though.
Oh, yeah, dude. You should get him on there. You should get him on here.
Do you think we can do that? When's the last time you talked to him?
We don't use them anymore, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't use them anymore.
Don't say anything bad. I think I can get him, so.
We've got to make that happen.
All
right.
Still a good dude, though. Still a really good dude.
It's
just for some reason we don't use them anymore.
Yeah, sure. That's fair enough. We don't have to dig into that here. So, but like, all right. So the AE audit was definitely a bit like the biggest learning experience for, I would say, most of us, because that was such. I'll tell you, man. Like the words AE audit back in like 2017 almost scared me. Like, oh crap, here we go. Like, what are they going to tear us apart on this time? And then when Sean stepped into that, it was like, all right, AE audit's up. Let's see how this goes, bro.
Right, right. Someone's accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a huge change in itself. So I y'all got to sneak me in for one. I'm sure things are a lot different now anyways, but if y'all have another AE audit coming in, I want to know. I want to swing through on one of the Pure Power audits.
Yeah, dude, if you'd like. I mean, it really hasn't changed much on our end. Like, you know, a lot of it's because so now our subcontractors are so up on the spec that we don't really have to do so much pre-inspection. You know, like for the most part, if there's issues, it's our issues. It's issues on Pure Power's side, and it's like little items like grounds need to be recrimped or just little things that we can fix on site.
Well, and that's the kind of stuff you want during an audit anyways.
Exactly. You know. Easter eggs, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, oh, you got me.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, our subs now, they're great. We don't have any.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any issues with it unless it's like something huge material-wise or anything like that.
Yeah, we set the standard, though. Like, it's... even coming from Cypress Creek, we developed a process and it trickled down. And then I know even Troy, when you and Landon took over the commissioning side, I did a walkthrough with you guys at was it Bowie's Creek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Cyrus and I walked through all the poles, and I remember thinking like, God, these guys don't stand a chance. But then you owned it, like, and now looking back, like you and Landon are honestly, you've surpassed the.
Attaboy.
Oh, I heard that one.
It's just another energy drink, guys. I'm getting jacked. I really am.
Bring it on,
I'm
man.
substituting it with for beer now.
Yeah, you are getting jacked.
Just to have something to drink.
Yeah, but you and Landon have reached a point where I feel like I'm trying to play catch up with you guys now that I'm working with you. So it's been great to see, honestly.
Yeah, I think for us too, like that whole period where Bowie's Creek, Buttercup Ventura, that 4-pack of our first like EPC project where you guys were kind of from Cypress's side, were kind of hand holding us, was like another huge like moment in my career. You know, was finally taking that leap from EC to full EPC, and being able to have you and Katie Curtis and Stephen Kling to like bounce ideas off of and understand, you know, what's the next thing. It was huge for me in being able to grow into like where I am now and knowing what the next steps are. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff you don't see on the EC side that you guys deal with on the EPC side all the time. And we weren't aware of that. It was a change order, you know, like if it's something extra, it's not because we didn't see it coming. It's because y'all didn't see it coming to pay us.
So that's like something I'm super interested to dig into. So what is that? Like what were the differences that you weren't aware of? How did things change when you went from being an EC electrical contractor to working as an EPC?
Well, I think from a construction standpoint, being a self-performing EPC is not much different from being an electrical contractor. You know, now, there's a little bit more contract language and liquidated damages that you might have to look out for that might not flow down from a prime contract if you're an EC. But the biggest thing for us is on the commissioning side, right? Like we thought, you know, all right, we did our VOCs. Everything's been megged out. Fuses are closed in. SMA's coming next week. You know, we're good to go, right? We've closed the site in. We weren't aware of all that goes into developing, testing a relay file, setting up your modems, setting up all your port forwards, you know, putting your IPs together and commissioning trackers, you know, all of the back end stuff that really goes into it. Performance testing. You know, we go out there and IV curve trace, but what are we really doing out there? You know?
Sure. Yep.
So yeah, like that. And that's where Stephen Kling, you know, that dude has helped us through a lot, you know.
He's the man. Yeah.
He is. I mean, you could pretty much just say, all right, the site's yours now.
Yeah.
After you close the site in.
Yeah.
I mean, really before, because I'm going to get him to close the site in anyway, So.
Yeah, right.
Well, we were just talking to Tyler Ramey a few weeks ago, and he was talking about Jacob Nardi and Stephen Kling. He's like right there in that boat.
They're
like,
close, dude.
Yeah,
They're close. Like I met
he
Nardi
knows his stuff.
twice.
Yeah.
I met Nardi twice, but at both times that I met him, I just wasn't on the level that I am currently.
Yep.
So I don't really know what Nardi knows. I know what Stephen Kling knows, and it's amazing. It's amazing right now. Just what this guy does for us is huge. Like nobody else in our company has to think about DAS. He takes it from the design to the full, to everything being ready for handover. It's insane.
Yeah. Did Steven just get a raise? I don't know.
Steven was, he was one of those guys where it was like, how do you know all this, man? Like, how is your brain capable of retaining and understanding all these different things? And I'm not just talking about solar. Like, solar's a part of it. Yeah. But, like, bro, I texted him this morning. It's like, when's the last time you went racing? Or when's the last time you took the Jeep off-road? Like, this guy can build anything. He can drive anything. Like, he's one of those guys that, like, I really think you could set him in front of anything technical. Yeah. And he would have it in a week straight.
No doubt.
Flat.
You should get him on the show for sure. We got to make a list. We need a list. Yeah, Stephen Kling needs to go on there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, just that whole, jump from EC to EPC was a huge wake up call for me, and realizing that, hey, I need people. I need people who also know how to do this. I cannot be between me and Landon. We can't handle all this. So, not long after that's when Cypress kind of gave that notification that they were starting to dissolve the EPC side. And I knew of a couple guys that I was really interested in, started hitting those guys up, and things have worked out pretty well.
Over there. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what a great team to work with. I'm interested to hear what a day or a week is like for you nowadays, with all the different hats that you have to wear and all the different directions that Pure Power is moving in. Can you kind of walk us through what, specifically a day, but more so, I know you're covering a lot of different things over the course of a week. What does that look like now?
Yeah, I want to know this too, because I don't know what you do. So
what I really even do, right? So I kind of wake up and I turn my computer on and I just hold my mouse so that it doesn't look like I'm going away on Teams. And then everybody just manages things for me throughout the day. And then I close it at 5:30.
That's a sign of a good leader right there.
Right. Leading from the back.
I like that.
Yeah. There's a book for that. So I really kind of to my point is that having Luke Wyatt and Landon in that commissioning manager role, I don't have to deal so much on the commissioning side. Those guys are pros. They know exactly what needs to be done. Now they will come to me for my opinion on things, but typically they already have their mind made up. They're gonna do what they just want to get. Kind of a second opinion on things.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. On the quality control side, Will Orndorff runs our quality department now. And we've kind of been revamping our quality department since Will's taken it over, and just trying to adopt some of our older practices and make sure that we're, kind of honing in on the quality more than the documentation side.
Oh yeah.
I know there's been issues. It's a tough balance between quality and the illusion of quality, right?
Sure.
There's you could document all day that you've checked 1 million items and have 1 million pictures, but if you guys don't really know what they're looking at, are they really even catching anything?
Right.
So
absolutely.
We talked about this on our episode with Riley, just working quality in your own team, it's tough, like trying to call out your own guys for what they've done wrong. And I don't know, it's a tough one. So I feel it
Yeah,
for
so
Will.
right, it's tough because not only is he dealing with it, but his guys are on site, and they're finding issues. They're telling Will about it, and he's saying, "Okay, put in the observation." And it, sometimes they'll go tell the superintendent before they put the observation in. Give them the opportunity to fix it or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
guys, we all have to get on the same page that whether you tell them or not, it's going in the observations. We gotta document it, or how are we gonna know it's fixed, right?
Right.
So that's been kind of a tough one. So really kind of honing in on the quality side, and then O&M. Right now we're not really an O&M provider yet. So we do have some EV charger stuff that we're in the works on, operations and maintenance for that. But it's really service, right? So service calls. So that's more of just like a revenue based operation. That's my only profitable operation that I have. So
Sure.
everything else is more auxiliary stuff.
It-
So
when I was O&M regional manager at Cypress, they required us to have 3 bids for any work that was done, and I would always be like, "Yeah, I'll get 3 bids," and I'd be like, "Oh no, Pure Power came in."
right.
Yeah.
We've a lot too.
Yeah.
We've heard that from a lot of Cypress guys. They'll be like, "Yeah, we're getting some arbitrary bids, but just give us yours. We want to know what you got." So yeah, we've heard that one, the 3 bid rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of it right now is just kind of checking in on those guys and making sure that they have everything they need and that there's no questions. Been more recently been kind of more involved on the O&M side or the service side, just trying to drive that revenue up. See what we can get cooking for other projects with new clients and things like that. Making sure that we understand what our cost is and that we're actually are profitable, because we have the benefit of our O&M department lives inside of Pure Power EPC, right? So we could be totally not profitable and our company would succeed. Our revenue is 2% of what the total company's revenue is.
Sure.
So really just hitting that home with our managers to make sure that we understand, hey, we still have to make money and we want to make more money every year, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of the week for me. Today I just had a couple beers at lunch and hung out, but the rest of the week I'm busy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Troy.
Yeah, right.
How's your energy drink, man?
It's great, man. Feeling really good.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Feeling jacked up. Yeah.
Are you cracking another one? Oh, my man, dude.
Sorry.
My
All right.
man.
I don't want to do that anymore. All right. So I'm interested to hear what let's think about somebody that's just getting into the solar industry right now, and they want to work for Troy because they can already see Troy's a great dude to work with. So what kind of characteristics, what kind of skill set do these people need to be focusing on to really become a valuable team member under the technical side of things?
Dude, honestly, and I think Tyler might have spoke to this in your last episode, but the clean slate is a big thing for us. We want to teach you our way and how we want to do everything. We don't really, if you're teachable, then it's not an issue to take like an old head and try and get them up to speed. But clean slates, we try to get young kids in as much as possible, and teach them everything, and hopefully they'll grow into having their own truck, and keep everybody above them moving up, because you have to train your replacement, right?
Yep.
If you're going to get out of there, you have to have somebody who's going to replace you.
Yep.
And that's something I drive home with all of our technicians in the field too. It's like, look, you're only as good as your helper is. If you want to get out of there, either get a new helper if he's not progressing, or teach him to take your place.
It makes things so much more fun too, in my opinion. When you can take somebody that you're working with that you can see is hungry and wants to move forward. working through something, getting the job done, and
Mhm.
also being able to show that person that you're working with the things that you had somebody show you at some point adds so much more value to the workday, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think as an industry, if we were to continue to adopt that mentality, we're going to see a lot better product coming out of these jobs coming up in the future, just like we've
Right.
seen now. You know, you still see the same things that we saw back in 2017, the little, but as far as like catastrophic builds, those
Yeah.
only really happen when there's like some new contractor involved these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like we've been able to dial
equipment
this shit in.
manufacturer issues.
Oh
Right.
my God.
We've seen some of those lately.
Oh yeah. Don't look
I
at
don't
me.
even know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know how much. I've got so many questions I got for you offline based off of the experience I've had for the past year or two. I don't really want to bash any companies like in front of everybody here, but like one that really comes to mind, because you guys do a little bit of MV now, right? Like I know you guys were doing a little bit of MV back. Are y'all still back in the day? Are y'all still
We do
doing
MV
that?
to the poles, and then we rely on subcontractors to do MV overhead and terminations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I reached out to STC recently. I'm hoping to have them on in the relative near future for a very specific episode. But I want to go ahead and ask you this one, man. Like, have you noticed an increase in bushing failures over the past couple of years? Or is it just because like I'm becoming involved in more and more projects that I'm just getting up to speed with how frequent bushings actually fail?
Maybe that's the case. I'm trying to think. I don't know that any of our projects recently have had bushing failures.
Yeah, I don't
Did
think
I-
so. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if it might just be overall mass, like overall quantity that you're dealing with now that,
That's
statistically
like,
it's bound to happen.
yeah, and that's what I've been going back and forth on. It's like,
Have you noticed it's consistent with the same transformer manufacturers?
now that is a thing.
Oh. Okay.
And I don't care. I'll go ahead and say like AB and ABB. We've
Oh,
had a very specific issue with those transformers. You know, like it's B phase every time, and I want to know why. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's always B phase.
It's the center phase, and it's the hottest one. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, and it like part of the RCA basically said it's because it's in the center, it has the least amount of support, so it's subject to the most stress. Like there was a pretty substantial RCA we got from them, and I'm sure it's confidential, so I better not say anything more than that, you know. But like,
no, tell us all. Yeah.
Yeah. ABB, my address is
right. Yeah. What's your mother's middle name or maiden name?
Yeah,
your mother's maiden name.
Last for your social, please.
Yeah.
All right. So like, what the O&M thing obviously intrigues me. Like we've talked about that offline some. What is service look like in the O&M world? Like what do you find yourself working on the most?
Mostly faulted DC feeders that's like almost, that was our bread and butter coming up, and now we've kind of expanded to different like now we do underground locating, kind of to solve the problem of we have a direct burial fault, but no one can tell us where the fault is. You know, we've 3 people have come out and given us flags in different places, so
that's a really smart one to get into. Like with everything going direct bury now, like that is a super smart move.
And it's amazing how much people like direct bury. And I guess they probably don't like it, but it just pencils better, right? I mean, it's just way cheaper.
I'd like to take credit for that one because I know I sent Ryan an email asking him to troubleshoot a DC feeder ground fault, and he couldn't find it, so he went and bought a detector. So,
and that's the thing.
You're welcome.
Those guys. Yeah, thanks, Sean. Appreciate that, dude. Like, when I say we did it, I mean Ryan did it 100%. Those guys manage it. Like the guys we have in those places are go-getters. Whatever needs to be done, whatever hurdle is in their way, they're gonna figure a way to get around it, right? And that's like the reward of building this team that we build over here.
I'm thinking about people like Ryan and Landon. And like Landon was when he was at Crooked Run, I think that was his first project.
That was his first job with us, yeah.
Wow.
and like wicked smart dude. Didn't know anything about electricity.
Mm-mm.
And Ryan, I don't know when he got in. I know I'm pretty sure I met him when he was fairly green. And like he was just another one that just took off, just really grasped it and just like understood you know, the process of getting these farms to work. And so I'm curious, like, how did those guys learn? How do you train those guys?
You know what I
and
think
how
is
did you
the
train
biggest
yourself?
thing, dude? The biggest thing I think is having two guys, like you were saying earlier, having two guys that really want to know and putting those two guys together, making them ride in a van together every day to the job site. They're talking about the work the whole ride there. They're fixing things together. They're talking about work the whole ride back. This is how myself and Blair Udi, you know, we rode in a van together when we first started. And I think we both grew a lot just from being able to bounce ideas off of each other. And for one person to say, hey, you know, how does a Y-connected transformer even work? You know, and then the other one would be like, oh, I'm going to go figure that out. And we come back and hash that out. So, you know, I rode with Blair, and then Ryan rode with me, and then Landon rode with Ryan. So there was like, you know, it was kind of a leapfrog effect.
Oh, I love it.
So, and I think that was the biggest driver and how those guys have progressed so quickly. You know, just having somebody there anytime they have a question to be able to answer it, or at least give them an idea, is huge.
It's a no-brainer way to structure it, but I wouldn't even have thought about doing it that way unless I had somebody like Troy to tell me, like, that's brilliant, that's perfect.
And it's not something that we just come up with either. You know, it just happened that way, right? Like Ryan hired Landon because Ryan and Landon are festival buddies. You know?
Oh, sure.
Oh, that makes sense.
I didn't realize Ryan was in. I can see that now, but I didn't realize that. But yeah. Landon made no mystery about it. He was into the festival world.
Oh yeah, Ryan's got the gloves, dude. He'll do a light show for you. He will.
Yes.
You should get him on here just to do a light show. Don't even ask him any questions.
Like an
Consider
hour
done.
straight.
Just play music and just let him go at it, dude.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
man.
I think that's the biggest thing for us. And Mario Fiscello. Fiscello is our director of business development. He's fairly new. Like we brought him on in 2019, maybe, maybe 2018. But we put him in an office with Blair and stuck those guys in a corner for 4 years. And this dude Mario now is like, he says things that I just lose me. You know, I don't understand a whole lot on the development side of projects anyway. But, you know, just listening to this guy have sales conversations that just totally way over my head.
Yeah, I agree. He just owns it. And like, he says things in a way that, I don't know, if I was a client, I would be like, I buy what this guy's selling.
You just want to go lay in his arms. Yeah, you just want to lay in his arms.
I do. I have actually, yeah.
Right. He's definitely a salesman. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for us is just pairing guys up like that who are both self-starters and, you know, both want to learn.
Well, you were talking about Blair earlier. He's the director of pre-construction, and but he also knows what he's doing. Like, I've been out there terminating inverters with this guy and panel boards. Like, we call him the chief terminator at Pure Power. Yeah, because he's the guy. When you're in a pinch, like you call Blair out. So he's still
you call your director of pre-construction every year in December when it's like, oh, we have all this work and we have to hit these audit dates. Blair's the one who puts his tools on and goes out there and just terminates job sites or whatever needs to be done.
I love that.
It's awesome. You got a director who's out there doing it. It is awesome.
Yeah, that was the moment where it's like, well, I'm going to go out there and do this too because I got to show
it makes
them.
other directors want to do it, right? It's like, nah, dude, you're not going to do that to me. You know? So, yeah.
There aren't
awesome.
many directors like that, though. Like
there
Cyrus, I know Max would have got out there for sure. I'm sure Max did get out there. Driver would get out there.
Max
he wouldn't even know how to terminate.
Yeah, yeah, but he definitely he'd stand over your shoulder.
Yeah, Shriver would get out there. He'd pull a pile out of the ground. He's just a monster.
Right.
I know Cyrus would do it all day.
Oh yeah.
Oh
See
yeah,
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
How is Cyrus, by the way, man?
Oh, he's so good. He's so
Yeah.
good. I'm so ready for them to like put some more people under him, and I don't want that extra stress on him. But like, he's such a valuable resource in such a large company that the visibility on him is just starting to happen. Like I'm really starting to just see it, and I think he's going to get slammed here in the next year when everybody figures out who the hell he really is. But like, yeah,
well, he's a humble guy, you know. He's a humble
he really
guy.
is.
He is, yeah. He's a hard worker, and like a lot of those FLS guys who came from that company, they're that same way where they're just like they work. I don't know, like you.
I wonder if they did the 2 men in a truck mentality for a little bit too.
They didn't have a choice. I'm sure they did.
I bet Frankie and John rode together a bunch.
Yep.
They seem like they rode together.
God, I would love to be a fly on the wall in those conversations.
Bro, they've got some of the craziest stories. It was the wildest bunch, man. And like that's like they bottled lightning, and Pure Power bottled a different type of lightning. It's so interesting because like it's such like they are on the same level as far as companies are concerned, but very different cultures from the outside looking in for some reason, but equally as good.
Yeah, I think one important thing about Pure Power is like at Cypress Creek, I can say this now because they're now defunct, but Pure Power doesn't just take RIP. But Pure Power doesn't just take any job. We look at a job and we say, we think we can build this to the standard they want. And it's not just like, we'll just build this because somebody gave us a contract. And I think that's important. That it speaks a lot to Justin Taylor. Like, that's his mentality.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of no's going around. Yeah.
That was one thing I was actually thinking about when you were like, when you first started saying that. It's like, that's the difference, like, between FLS and Pure Power is like, and I don't know this for a fact, but like it seems like there were more owners involved at FLS, and they may have been a little bit more separated compared to how involved Justin is in the entire process. And I don't know the dude. I've met him on a few job sites, and he was super friendly. Like we talked. I think he had like a Super Duty at that point, so we talked like Super Duty and stuff like that, and that was about it.
Yeah,
but
sure
like,
did.
but just seeing how immersed he is in that culture, and inevitably what the culture is an extension of Justin a little bit. Like it's super impressive to see somebody become like or create this very successful company and remain so involved in nurturing this incredible thing that has come to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's in the office every day. Right. So like, at any point I could walk into his office and just sit down and say, hey, what you up to?
Hell yeah.
Same thing with our CFO, our chief financial officer, Justin Coffey. Same deal. I can just walk in, and I think that's the biggest win for me in this company is that everyone in the company is reachable. Like you can go to the very top and sit down and talk to them about anything, and those guys, like I started with these guys when I was maybe 20 years old. I became an adult with these guys. Right. So like those guys were my mentors, and being able to have those guys at the most important part of my adult life, when I'm starting to grow and establish goals and things like that was
your balls
was
are
huge.
dropping. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm still waiting on that, but around that time,
it's almost time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
See, you're turning 24 next year, right?
Yeah, 24. Yeah, I'll be 24 next year.
You are young as hell, though. For as much
I'm 30.
responsibility.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah.
I'm not much younger than you guys.
Oh, dude, your email had 1992 and
whatever, dude. Don't big boy me.
But I will say, when I got the job offer for Pure Power, I called you, and I don't know if you remember this, but we talked for almost an hour, just like talking about the company, and I wanted to make sure it was a good choice for me. And you 100% convinced me that everybody would have my back, because that was my biggest concern, was just making sure that the company would have my back once I went there. And so I appreciate the hell out of that. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's it, without sounding like a cult. You know, we are like a family over here, dude. We really are. Once you're in and we know you care like the rest of us, you're in, dude. You're in.
yeah,
You got to get jumped out, you know?
yeah, you do have to live on a compound, and
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, we play pretty hard too, so we play. I think we play as hard as we work.
Man, I can see that, especially like hearing about some of the stuff you guys would do before like Cypress Creek did its thing, dissolving the EPC, and then seeing who you picked up after.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right?
It's like,
got all the party kids.
Those guys love
Right.
the party over there.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
We picked
That's
up all the
awesome.
party kids. We got Luke for sure, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I really want to have Luke on here because like I unfortunately haven't got to know that guy.
Really?
We have been in the same room a number of times. Like, and when I say a number, that number might be 2 or 4, you know.
Right.
But just an incredible reputation he's built for himself.
Yeah, Luke is the man, dude. He's just so well organized. He keeps it together over there. I mean, he's just so well organized and like to the point, and he's getting in there. He's going to get it done.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he
the man.
He's already my boy.
In 2014, Luke and I met in residential solar, and we're now on our 3rd company together, if that tells you anything. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
kudos to Max, man. Max got me in with Luke. You know, like I knew Luke. I've worked with him on other projects before, but you know, around the time that Cypress was dissolving, you know, my main goal was get Steven. You know, I got to get Steven, right? And when I was in the midst of doing that, I also found out Sean was interested, and I also found out that you know, Max told me that Luke might be interested, and I was like, I'm gonna get Luke. And I think I was already talking with Will at the time because Will had already left. He went to Orbital, and he was not having a great time over there. So,
are they still around? Does anybody know if Orbital's
I
still
think
around?
they might be. They might have a different name now. I think they might still be around, or maybe I'm confusing that with Reach. Is Reach
that
Orbital?
was Reach.
I think it's the same company.
Reach became Orbital. Yeah, Reach became Orbital.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they changed names again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to search that. That was a company that was pulling a lot of talent really early on, and then I haven't heard much about them since.
Yeah,
I've got my monitor going here, and
yeah,
my daughter is doing somersaults right now, so hopefully I don't have to run out of here in a minute. But we'll see. Let's see. There was another question I want. Oh yeah, man, here it is. Like, you have grown up in the solar industry, and you've seen all these monumental shifts that have happened in such a relatively short period of time. This is more of a commissioning question, because like I keep hearing these people say or ask the question of like, why can't we just replace curve tracing with thermal imaging? And it's like, if it's a binary thing, is it on or off? That's perfect. But in my ignorant brain, I'm like, well, there's so many characteristics. If you're trying to quantify how well a farm is performing, there's so many nuances that are captured in curve tracing that I just don't see happening with thermal imagery, but I just don't know because I don't know it that well. But from your vantage point, like where there's things that are changing, modules are getting more powerful, like where do you see commissioning itself going in the next few years? Like, do you see any monumental shifts that are about to happen there?
I'm gonna need you to edit this out because I've been fighting this battle for a while. But I like drone thermography, so yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. I love
agree.
it. But I just don't know if it gives us the value that we need in certain instances. I hope it does.
I guess from my ignorance and not being working with as a developer or owner and having that communication with the IE at the end of the project, I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure on what values that they're looking for, like from a curve trace perspective. I know with some clients they say, um, we need the curve trace values in order to provide to the IE for financial close. So in those cases, then yeah, it makes sense. Let's go ahead and do it. But in my experience, the only time really curve tracing, because it's an offline test, so it doesn't really it gives you the health of the DC, but it doesn't really give you operational data. Like there's other issues that could be happening that have nothing to do with the array itself, right? And I think that's why the drone is such a big win for us. Like, for us, what we care about, I guess, as an EPC is how is the site going to perform, right?
Yep.
And the drone is going to give us the most information on how the site's going to perform, because either it's an open circuited string, or there's block diodes or something like that that's going to be indicative of, at least give us the area that we need to be working in if it comes to a curve tracing. Now, we will use curve tracing to dig in deeper to get, like maybe some manufacturer warranty information, things like that. But in terms of like blanket 100% curve trace, it just seems like a lot of labor for data that could be like arbitrary, it could be arbitrary data.
Well, I appreciate where you're coming from on that, and I can certainly be agreeable with that. With that said, though, you also nailed it on the other end with the IE, because like it's not the IE that you have to worry about. What you have to worry about is who's financing the project, and are they able to understand that language that you just spoke? Are they able to understand that we care about these projects, we want them to perform the best they possibly can, make you the most money as the customer, because we want to continue to see this industry grow. So as long as you're happy with your investment, we'll be able to continue to build these farms. That's our side of things. So that's why we trust that we're going to do the most we can to get those projects across the finish line in the best way possible. But they don't know that. As far as they know, we're dumb hicks that are uneducated, that are just slapping this stuff together.
All right.
Well, so
they
need to see. They need to see that the VOC is where it needs to be, the ISC is where it needs to be, and all the other things, like as far as performance factor, all like they do dig into that stuff, and I've been burned recently because we did IMPs. Because it's like, okay, is everything on? Is it performing close enough to what we would expect it to perform? And that did not go well.
Really?
Yeah, because like, again, these people that are financing these projects, they don't care, that we think that we're doing the best for the farm. They want to see this empirical data that says, okay, what I bought is doing what I was told it would do.
Right. Yeah.
So I hope that like, especially in the position I'm at now, I hope that I'm able to prove that, yes, you can take a image and dissect it in a way that gives you all that empirical data without having to do all the labor of curve tracing every single frickin' string or home run.
Yeah, I have a great document I'll send you after this. But,
please.
Yeah. But the thing with drone scans, you can look at a module and say, this cell is bad, and or like this table is dead. But if you do IV curve trace, then you're just like, oh, something's wrong. So gotta keep digging. Yeah,
right.
But
and sometimes you can't even tell that, dude. Sometimes you can't even tell that.
For sure.
Wrong.
Yeah, and even when you IV curve trace, you can send voltage through a module, but it will still react the way that it should. But then when you drone scan, you'll actually see that there's something wrong. So
you had that issue with the lightning strikes, right? Like lightning strikes
at Marshall. Yeah.
Wait, all right. Well, hold on. Unpack this for me.
Yeah,
So we've had sites. Oh, you do it, Sean.
No, you do it.
Damn it. Okay, so we've had sites in the past that have been struck by lightning that'll VOC fine. But then when you put the modules back under load, nothing will, they won't produce any current. So and I don't know if an IV curve trace, I don't know if did we IV that? I don't know if we IV'd it.
No, we only did like 5% of that one. So
yeah. So, but yeah, we've had that issue not only at Marshall, but like other Cypress Creek O&M projects in the past that they're like, oh, there's lightning damage. Go out there and flag all of the damaged modules. And then you go out there, you VOC check everything. Everything checks out. Like you break the whole table down. Everything checks out. You plug it back in and the string's not even operating. And you're like, what happened? You know? And it's, you know, you replace a fuse or something and it's still the same thing. So it's odd. It's odd. I'm not going to begin to like try to understand what happens when lightning strikes modules, but I bet Max knows.
I think even you talking about O&M, the Best Solar, I don't know if you remember that one, but it was a bipolar site where lightning struck, and I actually responded to that when I was in O&M, and I changed 3 fuses on the other inverters, and then on one inverter I changed the fuse and it didn't work, and I literally spent probably 10 hours out there that day, just like about to rip my hair out, just like trying to figure out what the hell happened. But it was a lightning strike, and it was in the junction boxes on the modules. So it, you know, it goes to minute details like that. It's hard to figure out.
So you ultimately, so it was a head scratcher in the instance of like you had good voltage, couldn't get current flow, and you actually didn't determine what was going on there until you did thermal imaging. Is that what you're saying with that?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we actually got Mitch out there. So I'll give a shout out to Mitch.
Mitchell Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he flew the site and he was actually able to find exactly where the issues were, and we could see the ground faults as they were happening in real time, which was pretty incredible.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be cool. All right. So like and I know this is going to vary from instance to instance, but in this particular instance, like how widespread was the damage from the lightning strike?
It was in 2 different tables. Yeah. So lightning definitely hit the entire site, but those 2 tables were affected. So that was a pretty crazy one. But like Mitch actually, he was like, I don't know if I can figure this one out. But then he went out and he was like, oh yeah, this is what's wrong. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Mitch has probably seen that like a million times too, though, with his preventative maintenance, like drone flights for Cypress. I'm sure he's seen that.
He's a wizard. So yeah, the next ad on the podcast will be for Cardinal Solar.
Yeah. Hey, you know, we need to shout out Johan too, man.
Johan, yeah. Yeah, Johan, man. Oh my God. I had a project that we had him on, and it was like literally the last day possible. He was able to get us across the finish line. And it's like, oh my God, thank you. But could you have figured it out at least a day before? I wasn't, because like I've found that I've just been so obsessed with having the successful record of commissioning solar farms. Like it became my sport. You know, like, no, I'm not going to miss a deadline. Are you kidding me? I don't care how long I have to stay out here. We're going to get this across the finish line before the deadline hits. And now on this side of things, it's like, oh, was that really the best? You know, like.
Yeah, well, just so you, like anyone who's listening who doesn't know that Johan is the performance test engineer, and he picks data points, and you can pick and choose specific data points that work in your favor. But Johan's extremely honest, so I don't want to like take anything away from him. But
by no means. Sorry to cut you off there, but like that's not what I was trying to convey, and I can see how that could be misconstrued. Like the project is going to perform the way it's going to perform. Just to kind of unpack the problem that I was having here, like this project would you've got these things called shoulders, right? Like basically the way that we engineer these projects is they start screaming early in the morning until late in the evening. Okay. And so what that means is like these inverters are clipping for a large part of the day. There's a whole section of energy that isn't captured because it just can't, we don't have the equipment to capture anymore, which is a big reason why like energy storage is becoming more of a thing, because like we have this extra energy that could be captured. I'm rambling on about that because like, well, if you've only got a shoulder here and a shoulder here to pull data points from, and you've only got this long of a time period to get it done, then you need somebody really strong that understands how to make that data work to communicate that, yes, this facility is operating the way it should be. You'll see that on countless sites. Like these sites are going to produce nameplate value, maximum value for most of the day, every day, as long as the sun's out. But getting those projects across the finish line, again, it goes back to like the people that are financing these projects. You've got to prove it to them. You can't just say the project screaming and walk away. No, prove to me that what I bought is what you said I was going to buy. And that's a lot more complicated.
Yeah,
it's hard to it's hard to force majeure a sunny day, right?
Yeah, that's right. I like that. Oh, that's
if you
so
figure
good.
out a way, let me know. So
yeah, right.
So good.
Right.
Oh my God, there was edge of cloud effect, and then it was sunny all day. And sorry guys, we're just gonna need to.
Yeah, no, Johan's actually come up with some pretty creative solutions with us to kind of work around the clipping issues in the day. So we've done sites where we'll run 2 different performance tests where we'll cut off, if it's a central inverter, we'll cut off half of the combiner so we don't clip the inverter. And then we'll run a test on, say, what we would call array A or 1A, and then run a 5-day test, collect full data points for that, and then do the same thing for, B, right? And do it that way. Or
we
on
might
our
have to
string
edit that
inverter
out.
Sites.
Because that's so
that
freaking brilliant. That is so brilliant, man. That is such a smart move.
Yeah. And the tough part is convincing the client, right? Like sometimes they want to see it, full bore. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. But when you explain to them, look, if we test it full bore, we're only going to get, like you said, of our 50 data points we need to collect, we'll be getting 4 data points a day, guys. So hang on to your seats because it's going to be a while. And every day is not going to be sunny. So we're not going to say it's 10 days away.
And then you get some of these like vendors that have equipment that will shut down at the drop of a freaking hat, like a cricket chirped a little too loud, and all of a sudden you're down an inverter. What are you going to say, Sean?
Yeah, we ran into that issue with Ramp Solar. If you remember, the inverters were outputting as much as they possibly could, but we had shading that was outside of our limits of disturbance, and we're trying to explain to the client, like, this thing will never put out what you think it's going to put out. But Johan worked with us to come up with a performance ratio test that was a little different than the ASTM test. And it actually passed like overwhelmingly. So yeah, the performance engineers, something special going on there.
The good ones for sure.
Yeah,
the good ones for sure. He's definitely one of the good ones.
Can't imagine the stress that's in that position. Like it's one of those positions that has to be so rewarding when you're like, aha, got it. I'm going to get this one across the finish line. But until you have that moment, it's like, oh my God, it's nothing but shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a brief glimpse. So we know this from the commissioning side, but so all of us are used to coming into projects at the very end and just trying to get them across the finish line. But then guys like Johan are like, it's like, hey, time to go. And then like he has to do his thing, which, a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like we get pinched on our timelines a little, but we don't get pinched quite like Johan.
No,
right?
Definitely not. Yeah.
It's like, hey, it took us 7 weeks to get these trackers up, but here I need this performance next week. Start collecting data today.
Yeah, but it's
Here's
like,
the plan
well,
set.
it's 2:00, so if you get me in the next hour, that'll be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Right. 2 a.m. his time.
Yeah.
I would like to see us get away from that test. Some of the traditional metrics that we use to say this project's good enough. Like, how do we get away from that and find something that's more useful? Still gives the lenders, the owners, everybody that's a stakeholder in these projects comfortability that yes, they are getting the project they signed up for, but it doesn't kill these
Yeah.
EPCs and these subcontractors quite like we have in the past.
Yeah, it's almost like a proof is in the pudding thing. So you want to say like it does what I said it would. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is tricky, and there are certain tests that are easier, I guess, to get through than others. Like we have one client that lets us pretty much design the test per, how it basically explained. We basically brought in Johan and and he explained how we want to perform the test, and then basically ASTM, I guess.
Yep.
And then we'll perform it that way. But then we have other clients that are like, no, we want to see how much energy you're producing over a certain period of time. So you have to include all the data that you're given. You can't throw out data points unless they're just totally invalid. And then you have issues like shading loss and things like that have to be negotiated out of the data points. So there are definitely tests that are easier to pass. And tests that are harder. I like to see the harder tests go away, but I'm okay with collect 50 data points over a certain period of time.
Yeah, the shading loss is a tough one too because sometimes you're limited. Like Thunderhead Solar, like we'll talk about that one. No, we built a site that was essentially in a bowl in the middle of the forest in Uwharrie Mountains. It's like you're never gonna get like full sun.
There's a
there.
lot of shade. There's a lot of shade on that.
And then like we have another site that has a transmission line running through it that actually shades 2 inverters, and it's like I'll cut those things down, but like you're gonna have to take a video and bail me out of jail.
Yeah. Have you guys ever used one of those Soulmetric sun eyes before?
Oh
yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the shading analysis tool?
Yeah, man.
Do you guys do you stand behind that? Like, how accurate do you think that thing is? I mean, with your typical user? Because I've used it quite a bit of times, and I know that's very editable if you want.
Oh yes, yes it is.
Yeah,
it is. But we always tried to be super conservative on our estimates anyways. Like I only used it at Cape Fear Solar during my residential days, and like we wouldn't mess around with numbers. Like if it seems too good to be true, just go ahead and knock out that little area of sky where maybe the Soulmetric just didn't quite pick it up right. Just go ahead and knock that part out of there. That way, like we're giving them.
Yeah.
It's better to under promise and over deliver than the contrary.
Exactly.
So I don't know, man. Exactly. I don't know. We always played it conservative with those things, but good Lord, shading. Like I've been burned on that. I've been burned on shading, and there's a particular module manufacturer. I have one project. It drives me crazy. I still haven't got it ever through performance testing, and there was a culmination of things, which was shading and transmission lines. I had modules burning up, literally melting themselves apart because of some transmission lines casting shade on the freaking
Were they thin film modules?
I'm not going to say anything about who they are or what chemistry they are.
Were they made in America? Yeah.
Were they thin film and made in America?
Was it the 4th series of...
I plead the 5th, bro. That's funny. I'm leaving that in.
Yeah.
cut that.
Good. Yeah. I don't want their sponsorship anyways.
That's funny. And it was Series 6. Not the 5th.
Oh man.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
you know, they all
serious,
have
because
their.
I might cut that out, but I might not. And you should know, like, yeah, if you have Series 6 coming up, bro, watch the shading.
Really?
Because there is the 440s in particular. There's a 3 scribe 440 that will melt itself apart. 3 scribes meaning like 3 sections. You'll get the Series 6 that have a bunch of the little lines, the little pieces of silica or whatever it is. But then you'll have the ones that are just cut into 3 main sections. Those are the ones to watch out for.
Watch out for those. Huh?
It's a fine module in the middle of nowhere with no shade. But if you put that in an area of any kind of shade, like even if it's the table next to it, that's just kind of like casting a regular shading on it, you're going to burn those modules up 100%.
Oh,
Got
shit.
it. Thin film on the inside, polys on the windrows, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, don't edit that out, dude. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God, it is. But
That's really good to know. I mean, we've definitely seen like weird manufacturer defects with them. Like we get weird little spots on those things on the.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, like a
that
little
we've had to-
like brown.
brown spot.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like little burn spots.
It looks like it. It looks like it. But
Yeah,
it'll be
that's
before.
that. I guarantee those are 440s. I
Yeah.
guarantee those are 443 scribes. 100%. Guaranteed. Surprise. This is. I
man.
want to have to edit this
Well,
out.
thanks for
guys,
that heads up,
because
dude.
like that is going to be. Yeah, we're gonna have to edit this part out, but
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you've got
No,
the problem.
let it ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And they're acting like it's a new thing. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
surprise.
Yeah.
All right, that sucks. I'll figure out how to fix that one. But just good,
No.
good
So
conversation.
is this
to have.
live,
rip, dude.
or is there edits like you edit this before you put it on, or is this thing live?
Like in the Riley episode, we had a major technical difficulty. Like everything just kind of shut
Did
down
you
for a
really?
second. Yeah. So I had to fix.
Yeah,
that
you
one
just
out.
straight
So
up
that-
cut out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So we'll see. But it's about time to call it quits.
Leave the
anyway,
first
so.
solar in, dude. Yeah. It's good.
I might.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't care.
Okay,
man.
I'm going to
Like,
say something. I'm going to say something here to save it. Okay, because like I appreciate what First Solar's trying to do. They're trying to use different chemistry. They're trying to be made in America. They're trying to be this American company that is actually keeping up with utility scale demand at a competitive price. I get it. And I want them to do well. But they make my life a living hell when it comes to getting these projects across the finish line.
Yeah.
Dude, that's better than anything I would have said. I'd have been like, they suck. Yeah.
Oh man, the subtlety. I love
Yeah.
it.
I don't beat around the bush. So.
Oh, boy. That's why I love you, Sean. Word. Well, I think that's an excellent place to call it, man. Because like, I've got a list. Troy, I've literally got a list of questions that I haven't even got through yet.
I know, bro. We were just chatting. I know, because I've seen how this thing is structured, right? Like I knew what to expect going in,
Sure.
but I figured I'd just get on. It's like just being on the phone with you guys.
Oh,
Just
thanks
get
for the
on here.
credit, man. Just saying we have
Shit.
structure.
It is. I mean, it seemed like it was pretty structured. Like I figured you're going to ask me about books. I was thinking about what books I read. You know.
Oh, you got book recommend? Hold
I
on.
don't, dude. I don't. That's why I was like, I was gonna make up some books. you know,
Troy
like-
can't read, so like it's a
Yeah, I'm
sore
not a big
subject.
reader. Yeah, not a big reader.
You don't read
John
so good.
Holiday.
Yeah, don't read good. So yeah, I know that was one, and there was probably a couple other things too that I should have been ready for. But I just figured I'd come in here and just filibust the whole thing.
No, dude, you absolutely dominated,
wait.
and man, I work with you every day, so it's easy for me to say, but I appreciate the hell out of you. So,
I appreciate you, dude.
yeah, Zach, now you got to say something nice.
Well, I got to say something nice, but I do have one more question for you because I did miss this on some of the recent episodes. And so, like, you could have gone anywhere, Troy, especially with your work ethic and your ability to understand things. Like, you could have gone anywhere. Why solar? Why did you stick with solar? What is it about the solar industry that kept you here?
Dude, I think more than the industry itself, it was the company that I fell in with. Honestly, like if these guys did steel erection, I'd be up here 1,000 foot in the air, whatever, building high-rise buildings. It's just the team that we have over here. It just makes it easy to come to work every day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like solar's great. Like it's been awesome to me. I mean, this is definitely like more money than I ever thought I would make when I was 18 years old. So like the funds are there. Like you can grow and you can make money quick. If I were still in commercial electrical, I'd be getting a foreman wage. It'd be nowhere near where I am now, right? Wouldn't have a house, wouldn't own a home, things like that. Like you can,
Sure. Yeah.
you can grow.
Steel erection was my nickname in college, by the way.
Steel erection, yeah, dude. Is that your stripper name?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Side stage at Lollapalooza, right?
Yeah.
Steel erection.
Yep. We'll see you there.
Backstage at Lollapalooza.
Yeah, right.
Oh man. Well, that's great, man, and I can totally see that. And that's almost one thing that Pure Power intimidates me with is just like it's a bunch of guys over there that are like that. That actually care about the company and care about what they're doing and are just like, if you're going to work for Pure Power and you want to be somebody, you better be on your freaking A game, because there ain't anybody that's running that company that's not on their A game. That's how it looks from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Y'all have done a hell of a job building a very good company. I'm proud of you guys.
Awesome,
and I'm proud of you, Troy, man. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us on a Friday night, crush a couple energy drinks with us. Like it means a lot, man. Like it's been great being able to have this conversation with you. So,
it's been nice catching up with you guys, man. I know I see Sean all the time, but Jack,
Yeah.
I haven't spoken with you in a couple years now. So.
Yeah, man. Sean, I've been really stoked on this one. Like,
dude, I'm proud of you, dude. Like, you're like regional quality manager now. Right?
Yeah,
You're a director of vice president of something.
I think I like. So I came in as like a regional supervisor of quality and commissioning, and now I'm like a senior specialist. So that's kind of a
what?
Dude, you're the man.
Wait, is that a downgrade or is that?
No, it was just a shift. Like we went from construction to engineering, and so like when our department got moved from construction to engineering, I went from that to senior specialist, and I just never changed my email signature.
And AES is like a huge company, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I always say the number 16,000 because I keep forgetting the real number, but it's thousands and thousands of people that work for AES. And so that's like, I love where I'm at. Like, I've got an incredible job and work with incredible people there. But I will say, like, the Pure Power size company is where it's at, as far as like sticking it out, like creating a reputation for yourself. That's really where it pays off, because the politics are a little bit different there.
Your voice is heard, but I think it speaks a lot to your abilities to be able to climb where you're at in such a large company, right? Like I always fear that if I'm not a director at AES, you know what I mean? I'm at best a senior specialist or something. At best, I'm probably a QC guy. I'm just a QC tech, right? At AES. So those bigger companies, it's a what is it? Large fish in a small pond mentality. What we have going on over here. Yeah, you are a large fish in a large pond.
Rod, I just got really lucky, man. I got really lucky to land with the crew that I did, because it's been interesting, man. Like, these projects are massive, and like it's a different ballgame. It's super exciting. One of the things I'm like most excited about now is like just branching out. Like I could literally go anywhere in the world, but like the whole country is open to me right now if I really want.
Because of all the projects, right?
Yeah. Even just like Cyrus is like, just stick to the East Coast, be home like with your family as much as you can, and I appreciate that. And even that is like, all right, Yeah, let's go to Maine. That sounds
Yeah, let's go far.
Yeah.
How far can I go on these
Let's
guys?
go to Maine in wintertime. Yeah.
I like Cyrus's
That would-
take. He's like, just stay with me, so I don't have to worry about the region that you're in. You know, don't make me have to replace you.
All right. Well, Troy, again, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. I think we'll probably call it a night here. Just hang out for a second, and I'm going to let everybody else off the hook. We will see you again in another episode pretty soon. So thanks for hanging out with us. Y'all have a good one.
All right, dude. Thanks.